On a cold winter day along the Elk River, I'm painting alongside Steamboat Springs artist Pete Wood, a painter whose work reflects discipline, restraint, and a deep respect of place. Former military officer turned fine artist, Pete brings a lifetime of observation, endurance, and decisiveness to his plein air practice. As snow settles and light shifts across the river, we talk about service, solitude, and what it means to stand in the landscape long enough to truly see it.
Getting some blue sky up there now.
Ooh, good timing.
Kind of cracking through there.
What draws you out to paint in the winter when most artists stay indoors? I think I set myself up for that.
To me, this is a great opportunity to get out there. I don't think I would have gotten out there, out in the winter to do this otherwise. And because it is so much easier just to go out and snap a couple of pictures and take it inside and do the studio things. So having someone to bring me out into the cold and the snow to get set up and get it done is a good thing. So it's a great challenge for me. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I think we should all push each other.
Yeah, that's been a great thing with being part of the Riverwalk Collective and Steamboat Creates. Is all our peers are very inspiring and motivating, and we tend to challenge each other, even if not directly, indirectly. You know, each person has so much talent and drive that they go out there and get stuff done, and it kind of inspires me to go out there and take it to the next level myself on a personal level.
What do you think is different about the winter light compared to the summer light?
Winter light is much more flat. Obviously, when there's a lot of cloud cover like there is today, I think if it is a sunny bluebird day in the winter, it's very bright, which can also have its own challenges. In the summer, you have much more, you tend to have more color and variety, with things tend to be more white, monochromatic in the wintertime in many cases. In the summer, you have many more greens and reds and purples and such to work with. Which is good. But in the winter, it's nice because it has its own challenges to be creative and really hunt for the contrasts and values that make a piece of art interesting.
With all this snow, do you think that simplifies the landscape?
No, I think sometimes it can be more challenging in a good way, because you start to look for things that can tell the story a little bit differently, a little bit better. I think when people are looking at a landscape in the wintertime, they really just see the snow and maybe some of the trees and the mountains and the geographic features and such. But when you stop and are forced to evaluate the landscape and that setting more specifically and more directly, you can pick out the different color variations that are much more subtle. For example, those bushes that we talked about there that are going to bring some purples and some almost reds into the landscape. Those are things that you probably wouldn't, driving by, notice at all, really. You probably see the horses and the trees and the pond here, but you won't see, the color variations that are going on more subtly.
Yeah, I see those reds popping really good, but a camera wouldn't capture that.
Right, yep.
What do you look for in a composition?
I look for interesting shapes. I look for shapes that are going to tell kind of a story, create a feeling, a mood, elicit a mood, something that's going to capture the eye and draw interest from the viewer.
I do a lot of sketching ahead of time. You kind of jumped right in. How much planning was required to get started to see your vision?
2 or 3 minutes maybe. When I see something initially that my gut instinct tells me, oh, that's interesting. And so I will stop and I'll look at it a little bit more closely and see what truly about that image and that scene is creating that mood that I have, that feeling that I have, and then I look for those things, and then as I start to put together the composition and the shapes in my mind, I look at the canvas and see exactly where those shapes are going to fall and how those shapes are going to be put together to tell the best story. So then it becomes a balance of placing those shapes to be true to the scene and the image, but also exaggerating or more accurately amplifying those features and effects. So the shape might become a little bit different, might become a little bit bigger, maybe it'll become smaller, maybe a certain shape that's a distraction will go away. I might add an additional color value in there to enhance something to elicit a mood. So right now where I'm going with this painting here, I'm looking at the shapes that are really capturing my eye right now, seeing how they're going to fit, and which pieces of those am I going to emphasize through color, which ones am I going to emphasize through size, which ones am I going to minimize through the same thing, through color or shape, and contrast. So those are the types of things I look at. And I try to do that without, betraying the image itself, but also creating something new and interesting that might not be there.
You mentioned when we started looking at this, you really like finding something that's going to challenge you. Mm-hmm. What do you think is the biggest challenge in this scene here?
This one I can already tell is the sleeping giant backdrop. It's a big mountain, it's an overwhelming mountain compared to the trees and the pond and the shrubbery that I want to capture. So that's going to be the biggest challenge for me, is to appreciate the mountain in the background as part of the story, but ensure that the trees and foreground are highlighted so that they don't become just a flat, confusing piece of become a two-dimensional thing. I want it to be a three-dimensional thing, something that you can look at and say, yeah, I could walk through that snow, get to the edge of the pond, and assuming the ice is thick enough, walk across it, get to the trees, and go that way. Otherwise, the trees could easily get lost in the values of the mountain back there, especially since the mountain is kind of dark. The nice thing about the mountain, it is a cooler color, being a little bit more purple and some blues back there. It's going to help me keep those cooler values in the back and bring out the warmer colors of the shrubs and the trees in the foreground. So I think that'll help quite a bit.
Well, I did it. I added whiskey.
Oh, did you?
Yep. You can smell it. It's for real.
There you go. All right. What kind is that?
Pendleton.
Okay. I like that.
Use the top shelf stuff.
There you go. Yeah, I like Pendleton. That's not bad.
Well, I'll just set it here just in case you're feeling for it.
Need to warm up.
Now that we've been standing still a little bit longer, it has gotten, I am feeling the cool.
Yeah.
but I'm very interested to see if this whiskey keeps the water from freezing and maybe even hopefully helps it dry a little quicker.
Yeah, I've never heard of using whiskey to do that. It makes sense.
Well, I think you could use any alcohol, but might as well make it fun, right?
Yeah, there you go.
How did your military career shape the way you came to be an artist?
Well, it really didn't. I was doing art ever since I was very, very small. My grandmother was a very good artist. She did a lot of oils. In her later years, she got into watercolor. So that was about when I was in high school, and so she taught me watercolors when I was in high school. So I learned how to do that, and I really wanted to pursue art in high school, but I was at that age of my life where I needed more discipline and structure, so I ended up joining the Navy. So the Navy was, I wouldn't call it a distraction, but something necessary for me to ensure my life was going to get on the right track and go the right direction. So I took a little bit of a hiatus from a lot of artwork in the 23 years that I was in. I did a little bit. I did some pen and ink drawings. Never really painted much, but I did quite a bit of drawing when I had opportunity to. It was just very difficult traveling so much. Having a paint kit would have been a challenge. So I did more pen and ink type of stuff, the little bit that I did do. And then once I retired from the Navy, I decided to pick up the brush and start doing it again. I had never done oils, so I went ahead and tried oils and started goofing around with oils, and I really enjoyed doing that. That was a nice challenge for me, which I picked up pretty well. It was very comfortable with, so I pursued that. But I was really grateful for the fact that it didn't take me long to reestablish my skills in art. And so I'm very pleased to be doing what I'm doing now.
Well, do you feel like there's a discipline that you earned?
Yeah, I do actually. I would say that the military provided me that personal discipline to stay focused and to, even though you hit a flaw or recognize a mistake, you can work through it and keep your goals in view and see what that, if it's a picture you're talking about doing completing a picture, work through it, see if you can turn those mistakes into something that works for the picture. And that's the way the military operates too. You come up with, when you do different missions and have different objectives, you come up with different courses of action, and you learn to think about pursuing things in a different way if they aren't panning out for you in the way you originally planned. So yes, I would say that's really helped. That is an interesting thing about the military. The perception is that it's very monolithic, very follow my orders, and there's no variability, there's no room for movement, improvement. That's not the case. The military does a really good job of teaching you that, when you come up with a plan, it's very likely your plan's going to not go the way it seems. There are a lot of military leaders and commanders in history who have said as much, but I don't think people really appreciate that, because they get this perspective that the military is follow my orders and my way is the highway. That's not necessarily the case. Following orders is something that you have to do, but when it comes to putting together a plan, you have to think outside the box. You have to use your resources in different ways. So the military is very good in that regard to allow you to think about things in multi-dimensions. I'm starting to like how this is turning out so far. the day is young.
Well, Chula, in her interview, she said that every painting goes through its awkward phase.
Yeah, I remember that. Yep.
I love that.
That is good, isn't it?
Oh, well, it changed the way I paint. Now I know. Just expect it. While my painting's going through, it ain't gonna dry stage.
So that's the challenge of plein air in the winter is for you is drying water drying out.
That's what I'm discovering. Yes, we'll find out. We'll find out here. It's also making for some really neat soft edges.
Now my challenge is to decide if I'm going to incorporate that blue sky that wasn't there when I started into this painting, because I started out with a gray value scheme here, and now I've got some sunlight coming in, and this is where it could get interesting.
Look at the sun's coming through
Yeah,
just
it's
right now.
beaming down now, isn't it?
Well, we haven't committed so much so to say that, I mean, I haven't done any of the snow yet, so I can actually capture some of the bright snow now that would have just been gray before.
Yeah, I haven't done any snow either, so
This might work out perfect. So nowadays, in addition to working on different paintings and selling your art, what else do you do?
well, I just completed my new hire training with the ski resort to be a ski instructor part-time. So I'm excited to do that. I retired from my corporate job last December, so I've been retired almost a full year now. But before I retired from that, I really started getting involved in the community when we first moved here in 2018. Our son has autism and some other mental health issues, and so we got him into STARS. And so I started volunteering with STARS because he was involved with STARS. So I've been volunteer ski instructing with them for the last almost 8 years. And I also got involved with the school district with their exceptional needs program and being a parent advocate for Steamboat Springs School District. With myself and and my wife and a few other parents formed a special education advisory committee to help interact with the school district and the teachers and paraprofessionals to help express our needs and to help them with their needs and providing services. Our son has graduated now, and he's in a program down in Aurora and doing well down there. I'm on the Routt County Planning Commission. I've been on there for almost 3 years now, which has been rewarding. It's been very interesting to see how the planning process works in the county and how it interacts with Steamboat Springs and other outlying communities like Hayden and Oak Creek and even Craig. My background outside of the military was cybersecurity, so I helped with Steamboat Kids and Phones fairly recently, starting about 1.5 years ago. I worked with a couple of teachers who were interested in addressing the smartphone problem with kids and their addiction to smartphones and social media, and helping them with understanding the smartphone technology and ways that they can better secure their smartphones and protect their kids from a lot of the online stuff that they might happen across. So I've been doing that as well.
That's so awesome.
And then, I've been doing the Steamboat Creates, and I've been very blessed to be part of the Riverwalk Collective. Really enjoyed doing that. Really met some fantastic people. The Veterans Center, I've gotten involved with that. I'm kind of their art curator, I guess you'd call me, for lack of a better term.
Okay.
So I've got a few pieces hanging there myself, and I've been working with Rich Galusha, who is also a veteran. We'd like to reach out to the veteran community and identify veterans who are artists, whether amateur or otherwise. Also maybe use art as a therapy, which is a pretty big thing in the veteran community. Folks with PTSD and other issues. It's a good therapy mechanism. So those are things that we have on the burner. I feel very blessed to live here, call this place home. I was born in Denver, raised in Arvada, and I skied just about every ski area in Colorado, and Steamboat's always been my favorite. I first came here, I think it was 1977, and took a ski lesson here. Still remember that. We used to come up here and hike and recreate. And I used to come up here in high school to ski whenever I had the opportunity to. I never imagined I'd live here, always wanted to, but I always thought that would be a dream.
And then one day you made it happen.
One day I made it happen. Yeah, I got the job working for a bank, working 100% remotely. And it took us about 3 minutes to put the house on the market in Omaha, Nebraska, and come out here and do some house hunting. All right, might be time to start putting in some tree details here.
What do you like better? Painting out on location or studio painting?
I kind of dig it out here. It's very peaceful, just breathing the clean air and being outside and feeling the cool air from the actual scene really adds to it, and something you can easily forget to appreciate when you do just grab a photo and run inside and stick around in the studio.
There's almost like a little green, slightly green tint to that frozen water.
Yeah, it does look a little that way, doesn't it?
Do you see like tealish?
Uh-huh.
And it must be coming because of the sky, because I definitely didn't see that before.
No, that wasn't there before.
Do you have any dream places that you'd like to go and paint, travel and paint?
Yeah, we like to go down to southwest Colorado, down to Durango and Ouray, Telluride, that area. We usually go down there in the summer and the fall for a few days, so I'd like to bring my paints down there and dedicate some time to painting down there. I had an opportunity to do it again. I was stationed in Spain for 3 years, and that would have been a good place to do some painting. The castles and the landscapes there, the orchards, a lot of sunflowers and olive orchards, and that would have been fun. Was it the San Juans?
Mm-hmm.
In there? Yep. I think that'd be a lot of fun. 'Cause there's a lot different geography down there than here. More dramatic. One thing I'd like to do this coming year is continue painting plein air, but in landscapes. But I'd like to venture out more into painting people.
Ooh, yeah.
do some portrait type of stuff, or incorporating more of the human form into city scenes or town scenes. I think that'd be fun.
So tell me, do you have any planned shows coming up, or art events that you've got in the hopper?
The Steamboat Creates is doing a partnership with the ski resort for Martin Luther King weekend. They have a guest artist coming in, but it's in collaboration with the ski resort. A great bunch of folks coming in to ski and to celebrate Martin Luther King weekend. Yeah, there's an artist coming in. I think there's also a chef that's going to be coming in to cook one evening. And I've thought about doing a painting, and that goes back to my comment that I'd like to get into portraits and stuff. I wouldn't mind doing a portrait or something more human form for Martin Luther King weekend. I thought that'd be kind of fun to do, to challenge myself there.
Again, another one of those challenges, something that'll challenge you and the other artists.
Absolutely, yeah.